How's it going, guys? So we're gonna go pick up what we bought at the sale the other day. My dad bought it. I wasn't there, so I couldn't get any footage.
Yeah,
She can't jump that high.
Yes, she can. Come on, come on. Come on, come on, jump up here.
Still a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff here.
A little bit more. Yeah. I was showing you this in the last video. We were hoping to buy it, and my dad was at the sale Saturday. Was able to win this one for $4,000. So thought that was a pretty good deal. This other one there went for $6,800, I think. That one's a little bit nicer. We'll get it home. I'll talk about what we're gonna do with it. We got it home, just a few miles away. Made the drive pretty well. It actually trailed decent. So this is a 16-foot box. So it's got the webs there, bring the feed to the front, and then a conveyor on the front end that shoots it out the side. This is gonna be part of our robot feeding system. We're gonna have to make some modifications to this wagon so it'll do the job for us. So this is what we're gonna be using to get the dry hay into the robot feeders. So we're gonna have the tower silos. Those are gonna just conveyor straight into the feeder. And then all the dry ingredients, the grain and minerals, we're gonna have augers for those, so the robot will be able to turn the auger on, run the right amount of grain in. But we needed a solution to feed the dry hay. Obviously you can't auger this out of a bin, and it's not gonna be in a silo. We use a lot in the dry cow mix, a little bit in the milking cows and the heifers, especially the older heifers. We'll buy a truckload of dry bales and get a company in to chop them into these bays. We're going to continue to do this same thing even once we're using the robot, but instead of loading with the skid loader into the mixer, we're going to have this box. We're going to take the roof off of it. We're going to have a conveyor set up inside the shed over there that this thing will run into. We'll take this PTO setup off of here and get something made that has an electric motor to run the wagon. Just have to run it really slowly. And then we'll have a conveyor set up underneath the side. It'll slowly run out. The robot feeder can turn the conveyor on, then turn the wagon on, get the right amount of hay it needs. We're gonna leave the chassis on the wagon so that way we can just pull the wagon out over to the hay, load it up with a skid steer and push it back in. I'm not sure it's gonna hold enough for a whole week. We'll probably have to fill it twice a week. It's gonna be one of the things we're still gonna have to do, but it should be pretty efficient. We're not gonna work at getting that set up right now, but at some point we need to figure that out. This is gonna become our new feed room. The feeders are gonna load up at that end, somewhere in there, and then the hay box will go on this side. We're hoping to use that conveyor that we had in our old feed room that we're not using right now. Just have that setting right here on the floor, angled up through. Gonna have to cut a hole in the wall up to the mixer. As you can see, we have a lot of work ahead of us to just get things cleaned out of here so we can actually start setting up the stuff for the robots. Got a bunch of wood to move. That racking's gonna have to go somewhere else, probably. I wanna do a video answering a lot of the common questions you guys had. You were wondering what we're gonna do with our shop. It's gonna have to move. It's kind of up in the air exactly how that's gonna look, but I wanna talk about that sometime soon. Skid steer would barely reach over it. I think we're probably going to want to cut some of the metal off the one side, at least down a foot or something. That way we can easily reach over and pile it up. The silo builders want to start building this week. They wanted us to bring the skid loader in and get the dirt out of the center. It's way above the footing on this side, but they actually want it a little bit lower so that they can throw their extra concrete and stuff down as they're building the silo, and it won't be up above the footing then. They're not going to pour a floor on the silo. There's just going to be a tiny bit of feed that ends up staying there, and the base is going to be this footing. We got a little extra space there, so as they're building the silo, I guess they scrape off extra bits of concrete that fall down, and that way they can just fit in the floor there, and we don't have to worry about shoveling them out the door. I saw there was a lot of comments, people worrying about the amount of steel in the footing. I know you guys are just looking out for us. I appreciate the concern. The guys building the silo, they know what they're doing, and they built a lot of big silos, even bigger than this one. They were happy with the conditions of the soil, and this is the footing that it called for. I guess the main thing is they need the compressive strength of the concrete. They just need a lot of concrete for under the silo, and then that little bit of steel on the bottom makes a big difference. It doesn't seem like a lot of steel, but it's enough to give it the tensile strength it needs to keep it from cracking. We'll be in good shape. This footing's going to do the job. It'll support the silo very well. I'm going to spend a little bit of time right now with the skid loader, smooth out this fill dirt pile and the topsoil pile. I want to try to keep it drier so that when we go to reuse it, it won't be super wet. I think this is definitely going to help. Got it rounded off a little bit. This is only a third of the dirt because we have to dig 2 more silos out, but we're going to need a whole lot of dirt down at that end once we fill in. We're going to make a lane. Thinking we're going to be able to use up most of this fill. Just trying to keep all the rainwater from soaking into it and making it too wet to put back in there and get it packed correctly. I think that's about as good as I'm going to do. Now we're going to get the disc bind over to the shop. We want to go over this machine. Tire needs some air. Wanted to get this wagon into the shed out of the rain. Our plan is to use a skid steer like this to move it in and out when we go to load with hay. It'll take a little bit of skill, but the skid loader makes it easier than a tractor would trying to back it up. That's good. Definitely feels big once you bring it in the shed. He didn't have too much trouble backing it in. We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna set our conveyor up so it's not too complicated. Next order of business is gonna be to work on this robot scraper. I'm gonna change the rubber on these, it's starting to get a little worn. So early last summer we got longer bolts on here so we could double this up, put the older scraper in the front and then put a new one in the back. Seemed to help them hold up better. We're just gonna get rid of this old one. Once these scrapers start to wear out, then it just drags on the ground more. They bend quite a bit. With 2 of them there, it kind of helps them hold up. There's a little more strength. It'll do a little better job scraping now, and it had crashed a couple times recently because I think it was just a little too much drag. Working on the second robot now, and we changed the rubber scraper and realized everything was kind of loose. There's a bearing that this wheel spins on and took it apart a little bit. A couple of these bolts were broken that holds the bearing My dad's going to get 4 new stainless steel bolts for this, and I'm going to tighten this chain on this wheel. I think it moves a little too much. See if we can get that tightened up. This is one chain I haven't replaced. Seems like it's in good shape still. Okay, got that working. That ring is solid now. So we're getting a delivery for the silo right now. A bunch of rebar. They're gonna start building this week, later this week. Tried to back in and got stuck right there, so they're just gonna use a skid loader. They can't really use the crane to put it where they want it. We're out here at the site of our new silo. They want to start building it in a couple days once it gets a little bit warmer. Got a little bit of snow this morning. Just trying to decide where we want the drop down chute to be. And we're gonna run a conveyor out over towards our shop. What is our shop right now? It'll be our feed room.
If you go here, you're gonna get awfully close to the silo.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be perfect. We'll be able to make it work, but we want to be able to run a conveyor in between the posts at that hard angle there. Gonna be putting a spouting on the back of this barn tomorrow. That'll help keep the water out of this area. Today we're gonna put some spouting on the back of this shed building. So it's a 104 feet long piece. It's gonna be a little challenging to get it up on the barn. I'm gonna help them. I don't know if I can get my camera set up right, but so we already got it hung up there. No big deal. It's gonna be really nice to keep this drier. I mentioned a little while back that our heifer barn pit was getting full, and we didn't have that much cold weather, so I was having trouble getting the custom guys out to haul, but we did actually haul it out last week. It was 1 in the morning, so I didn't even film it. I just went back to bed. This pit is under half full now. They just spread it on some alfalfa fields at home. We have had trouble in the past with this end being too solid, but we had enough rainwater in there that it flowed to the other end. They pumped out of the other end of the building. They finished with the spouting. We wanted all the water coming this direction, and they advised that we put 2 downspouts to make sure if we get real heavy rain, it can clear out and not overflow. That'll be nice during the building phase, keep some of the water from running over the area they want to drive over, and also it's just good to get water out so it doesn't get underneath the footing. Planning to be here tomorrow to start forming up the first layer of concrete. It's supposed to get cold overnight, so they're not going to be able to start pouring right away tomorrow, but I think they want to get 1 ring poured, and then they can do 3 on Friday, 2 days from now. Should have about 16 feet worth of silo by the weekend. Hopefully they'll be able to run every day next week. The weather's looking a little bit warmer. I'm getting excited to see it go up. I'm sure you guys would like to see that too. All right, thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next one, guys.